It's 7:40. Let's do this. Good evening, Hampton Roads. Good evening, Northeast North Carolina. My name is David Aldrich, Chief Meteorologist of WTKR News 3 Television. You're watching a special Friday edition of our First Warning live stream, and we're talking about this winter storm warning, what it really means for your neighborhood. We're going to have an honest conversation about what's really going on and why so many people are confused. And there might be some confusion all the way up the food chain, I suspect, but we're going to kind of put the theories and the rumors to rest. We'll kind of explain what I think is going to happen, and I think we're going to be either surprised or really mad, because I think the most important principle, one of the most important rules in meteorology, especially in winter, I'm going to put it on the screen first. In fact, I'm going to start this live stream with the same graphic that I'm going to end with, so that it really drives the point home. Are you ready for this? Here it is. Write this down if it helps. At some point, ... precipitation has to end. Boy, it sounds so simple, but yet tomorrow and into Sunday, some people say, is that all the snow I got? And then there will be those in North Carolina that say, man, I got way more than I expected. At some point, precipitation has to end. It's true in springtime when you get rain. It's true anytime. But really is really important in wintertime. I'll hopefully make more sense of this here momentarily. Let me just show you the satellite radar. We're dealing with increasing clouds. Really not much to worry about tonight. I mean, it is, after all, 7:41, and last I checked, winds were pretty light, about 5 to 10 today. We have a north wind at 7 o'clock. 26 feels like 19. That's the current temperature in Norfolk, is 26, and it feels like 19. Now, where's the snow developing? Oh, around that trough, around Roanoke. Starting to see some snow showers in Asheville, North Carolina. Also beginning to see it in Bristol, Virginia. Bristol, Virginia is getting some snow. But you're like, I don't live there. Knoxville, you're beginning to see some snow in East Tennessee. And I said on the air several days ago, I said it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if places like East Tennessee, Knoxville, the Great Smoky Mountains, Chattanooga, Atlanta, Charlotte, they get more snow than Hampton Roads. What? Think about it like this. Piece of candy, right? If I pulled out a piece of saltwater taffy from the boardwalk and said, here, you want to share? And then like two kids start pulling on it. And it gets real stretchy, right? That's what's happening here. We're going to steal the snow from Hampton and bring it over to Knoxville. Who's excited about that? Some people are like, that's not how it works. Well, there's only so much snow to go around, so bear with me. If this is where the storm's beginning, tell me where it's going to develop next. I can tell you, it's probably going to develop in parts of southeastern North Carolina. I said if this low came off the coast of Myrtle Beach, we'd have reasons to be concerned in Hampton Roads. There's Myrtle Beach. But it didn't develop there. In fact, it wasn't even cloudy at noontime today. And yours truly thought it was going to be cloudy at noon today. I needed the sunglasses just getting in my vehicle today. So if you need clouds, storm clouds, they weren't there at noontime today. Everything's kind of shifting. Everything's kind of wiggly, like trying to peg, Jell-O on the board. How do you peg Jell-O on the wall? Very carefully. I mean, not with a pin. I don't know. How do people do it? But I digress. Let me show you what I'm seeing, okay? This low is not over Myrtle Beach. I said if it comes off the coast of Savannah, ding, 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 then we're probably going to see some southerly movement. Boy, did I get crucified for that one. Oh, how do you know it's going to move south? What do you know? Well, I'll share my snow resume a little later. I did that last night. Some people thought that was comical. I'll do it again. Savannah shows that's where the low is now. And did I mention there's another low in Cuba? Who's talking about that? I am. I don't know anybody talking about that. You mean there's another low that's in Cuba that's going to go follow the line, not the yellow brick road, follow the broken line. It's going to go up toward the Bahamas. So you're going to have not a Fujiwara effect, but you're going to have some kind of tango with two lows that wasn't factored in the model configuration. High pressure, I told you, it'd be a monster high, about 1048, 1047 millibars over Fargo. Where's this bad boy going? South to Oklahoma City. It's eventually going to work its way to Oklahoma City by tomorrow. So all of these parts are moving. And if you take anything away from this early part of the stream, is understand that all weather is interconnected. Yes, I left East Tennessee from having worked there 15 years, but the very storm I've been focused on all week is now impacting them. How's that possible? They're 9 hours away. It's how weather works. It's how weather works. And if you've been around this weather community, if you've been a weather nerd since you were in middle school, you're probably figuring this out, right? You can't have a big event in one part of the country and have it not affect other parts. It's like dominoes. So you got a monster high that's over parts of Fargo, working its way south to Oklahoma City. These are the moving parts. Now, if I show you the winter storm warning and this is all you see, you're going to miss the whole point. Yes, the National Weather Service has a winter storm warning. It starts at 4 o'clock in the morning, runs till 7 p.m. Sunday, right? You got that in place, but not all the counties that are colored in purple are going to get the same snow. At some point, precipitation is going to end. Oh, and I didn't mention, what about the winds? Winds are still pretty bad. We talked about a blizzard yesterday. One of the things you're going to notice is that what's missing are the amounts, right? A blizzard definition by the Weather Service is not determined by the amount. Like, I got this much snow, I got this much snow. What they are interested in is snow blowing? Do we have winds at least 35? And do we have visibility down to a quarter mile for at least 3 hours? There's certainly going to be blizzard-like conditions in some parts of North Carolina, I would imagine, over the weekend. So let's be mindful of that. We're not going to discount where the worst of the storm is, because even at this hour, at 7:45, I still believe the worst of it is in North Carolina. I think it's a lock that they're going to get some good snow, right? Maybe some of the biggest snows they've seen in a long time. But that doesn't mean Hampton gets it. Doesn't mean, like, you might see it, but you don't get it. You know what I'm saying? You might see it in Poquoson, but you didn't really get it. And then you say, well, I got the winds, but I didn't get as much. Let's go back to the real principle. At some point, it's how Mother Nature works. At some point, precipitation has to end, and it will. And it may shock you, and some of you may feel like I'm cheated. Oh, those weather people, they don't know what they're talking about. Well, we kind of do in most situations, but when you have a lot of dynamics, which I've just highlighted with the low over Cuba, with the high over Fargo, all of that works synergistically together to give us the end result. And that's why it helps to be within 1 to 3 days, but sometimes it takes maybe even less than a day to finally come into focus. We have two things to note here. The wind advisory is in brown, so if you're in Suffolk, if you're down toward Chowan County, you're under a wind advisory. This lasts till about, I believe, 4 p.m. Sunday. This starts at 7 p.m. What we're most concerned about are the orange areas. We're talking Matthews, the Eastern Shore, all the way down Currituck and into Dare County. You could have winds way higher, like way over 50, maybe 55. That's a concern, maybe even 60. And I can illustrate that with the data that we have today. That's 6 o'clock Saturday morning. Let's take you through midday. My eyes are focused on the higher numbers right here. 41's pretty tough. How about 36? That's no picnic. And the winds are blowing and it's snowing. In some cases, it's blowing and drifting. 56 looks way worse than 36, but even 36 south side's no picnic either. So even if you don't get the snow that you've been told or sold or believed on a Tuesday night of this week, why would you do that? If somebody tells you they know what you're getting on a Tuesday for an event that happens tomorrow, well, by now I've wasted my breath, because you know what? They don't know. Run, run, run. 36, 56, 36, those are the winds. And by the time you hit those winds by 1 a.m. Sunday, I think that's when you're going to find things really ramp up. Power outages. Boo, boo, boo. Hey, I lost my power. You're going to wake up Sunday, I don't have any power. Oh, what am I going to do? I wish I had a plan. Now's the time to get that plan. Now's the time to check on your neighbors, because you know what? We are all we've got. Will we get through this? Absolutely. But if you have been focused solely, and there are a lot of people, a lot of weather people, solely on the snow, and you forgot that there was tidal flooding, you forgot that we were now 68 hours below freezing. Yeah, I figured that out. You ready for this? I'm a note taker. We were at 32 degrees in Norfolk at 12:25 a.m. Wednesday the 28th. Go ahead and write that down if you're a real nerd like me. 12:25 a.m. Wednesday the 28th of January. That's the last time we were at freezing. We're not going to get above freezing until Monday. That's like, we're now 68 hours. We're like holding our breath. Hold your breath for 68 hours. That's how long it's been. This is Virginia Beach area. We don't expect to be under below freezing for 68 hours in a row. Well, we've got multiple days to go. And that's also going to wear on our neighbors. That's going to wear on the very old, the very young, the pets. Please take care of your pets. And these winds are not going to help. So if you are of the mindset, if you're north of Norfolk, I think the confidence for you getting some good snows, keep going, do. As I said before, I think it's going to move south. There's only so much snow to go around. It's like a piece of saltwater taffy. You just stretch it into Charlotte, stretch it into the Atlanta suburbs, stretch it into Knoxville, and into Chattanooga, and then you're like, I got nothing. I'm in Hampton. Maybe it's very small. So keep your expectations low. That's my advice. It's my advice. We'll revisit this tomorrow, but you can see this. Wind gusts tomorrow, Look at it, Sunday morning, that's 6 a.m., 53 miles an hour. And there's snow on the ground, and have you ever been to Vegas? Been to Arizona? You see these little dust devils that spin up? You're going to see little swirly devils of snow. Because I can't see. It's blinding. Oh, and then there's always going to be this person. I've just given somebody free license. All the snow will blow up on the garage door, right? And they'll say, I got this much snow, it's bigger than me. No, it's snow that blew on your garage door. We're not that stupid. All right, so keep that to yourself, right? Don't share that. It's just going to egg them on. By the way, 39 miles an hour, Eastern Shore by 1 o'clock Sunday. Again, finally slowing down after that. So here's what to expect. Snow showers begin a NASCAR rolling start Saturday morning. So by midday, I think we've got some snow, but certainly it's going to start tomorrow morning for North Carolina. Sunday afternoon, we're still dealing with winds. I think most of it's going to be ending early. I mean, it's speeding up, and it's also changing its track. Wind gusts 30 to 50, easy plus. Blowing snow, tidal flooding, overwash, travel issues. This is going to be such a big storm for North Carolina. I can't underscore that enough. Now, as far as what I find fascinating, some of these models are still out to lunch, but I'll show you what I think. And then I'll show you what the GFS has, right? So this is a good teachable moment, okay? I'm going to go ahead and make the prediction that I'm not going to agree with what's on here. I'm just going to put a big red X. But I'm going to play it so that you see it. All right, this is a great moment because some people are still using human reasoning or machine learning, the AI. I used to have a speak and spell when I was a kid. The machines are learning. Very good. That's fantastic. But what kind of real life experience do they have? If I put this in motion, how much snow do they think you're going to get? Oh, it's going to get that much. Oh, but then you go to my map and you say, wait a minute, that's looking vastly different. You put all the heavy snow, Aldrich, down in North Carolina. I did. Ding, 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 ding. And I think it's going to be dropping over here. It's going to be dropping in parts of Williamsburg, Melfa, and certainly Richmond. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. And the confidence should be evident. Maybe it's not. I'll kind of lay it out for you. But the confidence should be in the fact that there was not a blizzard warning issued from Wakefield. No. The confidence, I know we tie blizzard to amounts, but I think they went with a high wind warning simply because maybe the confidence isn't there yet for the amounts of snow. The winds, yes. Tidal flooding, yes. But I'm suspecting that there is enough for 4 to 8 in maybe southern Chesapeake, but the 2 to 4 I had yesterday, I think is still on target. And it could be even like nothing burgers for a lot of communities because these are snow showers, mind you. Remember, snow showers means it's not an equal opportunity snow. It just isn't. It's just not. Let me continue on this path here as I'm going to continue to come back on this screen. But we're going to go back to this. I'm going to come back to this later on in this live stream. Now, if you look at the weekend snow, this is the European model that comes up the coast. You can clearly see the mixing that's going on in pink. And I'm going to change my telestrator back to yellow since it's a little less abrupt. But even still, what you're seeing is that changeover may affect the southern Outer Banks. Some of these areas along Rodanthe, maybe it might get a little bit of a sleety mix at times before it goes back to all snow. And eventually it could very well. But did you expect, when I showed this map yesterday, there wasn't this much blue or purple over here. How many, let's see, 1 layer, 2 layers, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like 6 or 7 layers of purple or blue. That's Charlotte, my friend. That's Asheville. That's Knoxville. They didn't expect to get the snow that they're getting, but some of them are going to be like, surprise, you got it. It's coming. You're going to get some snow. Oh, and I had this other note because I want to import some new comments. But somebody had put a note on my Facebook page yesterday, and this is not to pick on anybody, but it's a teachable moment. Mr. Jarvis, I salute you. He says, I work for the government. I work for the government as a forecaster. No way am I going against the NWS. Okay, well, the National Weather Service isn't our competition. They're our partners, right? We work together. They issue tornado warnings. We get that information out. But there are times, as my own forecaster, I'm a meteorologist, we can disagree. Okay, I'll leave it at that because if you looked at what the weather service, and this was left, what time was this? This was left 24 hours ago. So this comment was left 24 hours ago. And the National Weather Service at the time was going 9.9 inches of snow. Okay, that was at 9 o'clock yesterday morning. 3:30 in the afternoon, they dropped it. They dropped it from 9.9 to 8.7. Okay, and then today, this morning, they circled that big white area, And they said, well, we're not exactly sure what we're going to get here. High uncertainty, okay? But Mr. Jarvis is pointing out that he works for the government, and he's a forecaster. He didn't say he was a meteorologist, he said forecaster, but no way am I going against the National Weather Service. I have nothing against the National Weather Service. I have a great respect for them, but I do my own stuff. Does that make sense? I do my own stuff. And now, if you look at what they put here, I don't know if you can read that number, but I'll zoom in on it. It's now 7. So we went from 9.9 to 8.7, and now it's 7, okay? So how did we lose nearly 3 inches in just 24 hours? Because things change, all right? So if you want to hold the TV community by a certain standard, that's fine. National Weather Service, we make mistakes too, but at the same time, I still think we haven't finished this project yet. It's not over, right? It's way too early to bust somebody's forecast. At the same time, it's way too early to throw darts at the weather. Oh, they don't know what they're... Give a chance, right? I said 2 to 4. I took heat yesterday. How come you're going 2 to 4? Everyone's going 9.9 or 10. Because I don't see it, all right? Some people do, and that's fine. But let's wait how it plays out. And like I said, at some point, precipitation ends. Because you've got to admit, there's a whole lot more snow over here than there is right here. And that's noontime tomorrow. And once this begins to swing away, it will get any darker, yeah, for a little while, but much darker in North Carolina. That's where the heavy totals are, right? Heavy totals there, and then it begins to move, and it's done. By 7 a.m. Sunday, this thing's speeding up. You have less time, less QPF for my weather nerds out there, less moisture to work with. You can't get snow if you don't have moisture. And today, we couldn't even get clouds at noontime. It slowed down. I think it's all reconfiguring. You know, when you make a wrong turn on Apple Maps, it says recalibrating, rebuffering, refiguring all that out, right? That's what the models will do. Models do a great job, but to put too much stock in it, you're pushing the limit, right? Some people think it's just as easy as I'll just take whatever it says and I'll put it out on social. And then it confuses people. People get mad and they blame us. So I'm just standing up for our weather community. We are a work in progress on these events, but know that we are still going to get pounded in North Carolina. That's my high confidence there. So I'm expressing less confidence north of Norfolk, less confidence north of Norfolk, and more confidence for North Carolina. Very strong winds, tidal flooding. Got the full snow moon on Sunday, February 1st. And did I mention you could lose power? You don't even know if you even have snow. You could still lose power, possibly with those nasty winds. It's not going to help to have 50, maybe even 60 mile an hour gusts. Tidal flooding. People have been asking about that. When's it going to be really bad? Probably by Sunday morning. Sunday morning. This is Sewell's point. It's not a factor tomorrow morning. It's not even a factor tomorrow evening. But by Sunday at 9 a.m., I think it could very well be a factor. Got some other notes. Wanda Poe is very nice to leave me a nice note from yesterday. I haven't said hi to Wanda. Hi, Wanda. She says, you're the best weatherman. Thank you, Wanda. You're very kind. I'm just doing my best. And I appreciate everybody who watches because I know that people are busy and they like to get this all in a nutshell. Sometimes it's more than just a headline, right? Pauline says, thank you, David. We appreciate you going live. Doing it on a Friday. I'm doing a rare Friday edition, but you're worth it. My neighbors are worth it, right? We've got to take care of each other. I don't know why somebody has to, is that controversial? I hope it's not. Because if we lose sight of that, we're in real trouble. Because we all need each other. We need to help build each other up. Kudos to everybody who's helping in that effort, I think is very important. All right, I'm going to check in to import the new comments. I was looking at last night's comments on my page. I'm back to the WTKR page. And some of these notes that are coming in might reflect what you're thinking, what you're feeling. And I'll do my best to put them on the screen here in just a second. And we get that on there. There they go. I think they're coming in. Yeah, they are. Thank you very much. Miss Bowden is on there. Says we're all in this together. We are. Have we been through worse? I think you had it worse February 19th last year. Almost a year ago, coming up on the anniversary of February 19th, 2025, we had 10.2 inches in Norfolk. My expectation of that is not that high, I think 2 to 4. Maybe I'm wrong, but I did leave the 4 to 8 right in the Back Bay area and southern Chesapeake. There's going to be a point where the inflection of that storm will throw enough snow back, and we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But I'm going to keep going. We talked about the tide forecast. No worries for tidal flooding, at least tomorrow, but we will see it ramp up early Sunday morning. By 9 o'clock Sunday night, should be in the nuisance level. We mentioned the fact it doesn't help, knock on wood, it doesn't help the fact that we've got a full moon on Sunday the 1st of February, which is Sunday. Now on Saturday, it's like 98% full. And with all clouds, you're not going to see the moon, but it does have an effort, or it does exert pressure on the gravitational pull will be there. We had our last full moon on the 3rd of January, and it is called, the full moon in January is called the wolf moon. The full moon in February is, in fact, the snow moon. Now, we've talked about this snow forecasting timeline. Why, before this storm is over, mark my words, somebody else is going to be hyping up something that's happened next Thursday, and then the next Tuesday. You can't do it. Just don't buy into it. Let it run its course. But when you're 6 to 8 days out, I remember on Dr. King Day, you're all worried about the storm, and then it was a mix. And they said, well, that's because it was a mix. We didn't get much. Now what's your excuse? The whole column of air is cold in most cases. 2 to 3 days out. Now we're about 1 day out. So I only point this out because it's so important that you have a plan. And I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, because if you grew up in Virginia Beach, Outer Banks, or Eastern Shore, you know you have a plan during hurricane season. Why wouldn't you have an emergency plan for winter when a storm hits, right? When you get these types of storms, you got to have a plan. In fact, you should have already had that plan. And all your kids should be on the same page. What to expect, I've already highlighted. I'll show that map again. I'm expecting lesser amounts, way lesser, north of Norfolk, but I'm expecting to get walloped. A lot of snow in North Carolina. That's where I stand at this point. So if you want more details, I'll have more updates tonight on the news side at 11 o'clock. But as far as Norfolk snowfall, this is where we stand so far, up to 2.1. That's not a lot, right? But we've had experience with the Veterans Day event. We had some snow on the 8th. Then we had last weekend, total up 1.1. 1.1 was the total for the 24th and 25th. And now we're up to 2.1. Some have had more. Maybe some have had less, but a lot of it depends on the temperature. People don't always think about this. It's either a 10-to-1 ratio, 15-to-1, but when it's 20 degrees outside, which is really cold, you're going to get a drier snow. The dry snow is awful for what? It's really bad for what? For snowball making, for snowmen making. It's hard to make a snowball when you've got dry snow. And I understand that all too well. I've got a huge Team Snow card-carrying member, having worked in Rochester, New York in these years. And I show you not the snow that just I lived through, 432.5 inches of snow. I show you that because I forecasted 432.5 inches of snow. I've had to forecast each one of those events. And boy, that's like boot camp. Because I get questioned all the time, what do you know about snow? You work in Rochester, New York, or Syracuse, or Buffalo, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. It snows like around September and doesn't stop till Mother's Day. That's not an exaggeration. People go trick-or-treating in Rochester at Halloween. It's snowing. You can't see the ghosts because of the snow. It's half serious, but it's serious enough that you get roughly 100 inches a year. And in my years that I was there, I averaged 108. So I understand how these things work. I understand, so people are going to be naturally curious, what makes you so sure it's going south? I'm giving you the benefit of my experience. 12 is the low this morning in Suffolk, 10 in Melfa, 17 in Elizabeth City. 21 was actually happening at 12:48 a.m. Another midnight low this morning was 21 degrees here, but sharply colder Chesapeake and Suffolk. They started off at 12 this morning. Now we finished at 27. I was expecting 29. Now, to be fair, Hampton hit 29. And Virginia Beach hit 28, but the fact that we didn't get above freezing just perpetuates we haven't been above freezing since 12:25 a.m. on Wednesday the 28th. So it's been cold, no doubt. Current temperature as of 8:03, and I want to save room for more of your questions and comments or other concerns, because I just looking at ways how I can help empower you to help your neighbors. Amy Thompson's on here. She says it's snuggling weather. I like that. That certainly is a positive. I love it. Let's see, David Marshall, he's just being extra cautious, says he's stocked up again, ready for snow in Virginia Beach. I hope you're not super stocked up. Not like this, David. Don't do this. Whether you're lactose tolerant or lactose intolerant, that's just way, way, way too much milk, bread, and toilet paper. And again, that's an AI-generated photograph, so we can also X this out too. I think it's just kind of funny, but it's comical. What people will do, suddenly everything flies off the shelves, and people are like, well, that was for nothing. Yeah, if you have enough food from last go-around, you should be fine. There's no need to make extra trips, unless you just want something different besides bread and milk. bound to be better food than just that at the grocery store or something you want to prepare. 26 current temperature, Portsmouth, Suffolk, 25 in Hampton. We have Moyock right now at 26, Elizabeth City at 26 degrees. This is the area right in here I think really is the sweet spot for this storm. Elizabeth City, I'm looking at you, Edenton, and I'm looking at Nags Head. Those are the hot spots for snow, my opinion. It's like it's a lock that you're going to get more snow than you expected. But I also at the same time to rob Paul to pay Peter that you're going to get less snow up here. I just think if you're north of Norfolk, you're going to find, oh man, these weather people, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. It just happens that way. 18 is the wind chill right now in Hampton, Norfolk, 9 in Wallops Island. Wind chill tomorrow is single digits. Look at it, it's a lonely 1. That can't be right? No, it is. 7 a.m., it's 1 wind chill in Peninsula Eastern Shore. That's tough. That is tough, my friend. That's called welcome to the Arctic. And it's only going to get worse by the time we get to Sunday. Because by the time we hit noontime tomorrow, the Outer Banks may feel like 21, but it's only 8. And by the time we hit the end of the day, it feels like 3. That's terrible. That's really bad. I can't disagree with you because it is bad. But would it be worse if you woke up Sunday morning? Well, that's what, 11? That's 11. Yeah, that's 11. It's back to 1 by 11 o'clock Saturday. The winds have picked up. We've already advanced through that model. It's going to be really windy by 11 o'clock Saturday night. And then it feels like -5. Are you kidding me? Are you having to pump gas at -5? Hopefully you have a plan. You won't have to pump gas at -5. You see what I did there? You don't want to be that guy or gal. You just don't want to do that. So get it done early. You got to get to the pharmacy? Do it tonight. Do it tonight. Tomorrow morning early. Because you don't want to wake up Sunday morning and be without power and have this going on with the winds and the swirling, blowing, and drifting and the tidal flooding. Tidal flooding is really bad around 9 a.m. on Sunday morning at Sewell's Point. So here it is, 8:06. Just wanted to cover all my bases here so everybody's on the same page. If you joined us late, you might have to watch this from the beginning. But 27 we hit today. I think we're headed back there. If some of you get past 25 or 26, consider yourself lucky. It's not going to feel like that. It's because you got gusts tomorrow, 30 to 40. And the sustained winds, my goodness, are north 15 to 25. Brutal. Now, maybe a little flake here, a little more flakes, lots of flakes. But that's going to be location, right? Snow showers. Now, I've shown this before. Now, don't worry. This is where most of us are going to live. It's cold up and down the entire column of air where it's mainly snow. But I mentioned on the Outer Banks, the southern Outer Banks, southern sections of the Outer Banks, they could get a little bit of sleet. Right? They might get a little bit of rain briefly, but I think it's going to be eventually going back to this one. You'll eventually get most. So I don't want to say you couldn't see some mix, but I think it's going to be mainly that part. So we've already covered this just to see, I want to kind of test the waters and to see who's been paying attention. Which of the following is not a part of blizzard criteria? Is it visibility A, amount B, or wind C? Give me your answer. I'll give you 30 seconds. I'd love to know what you think as I check over some of the questions here. Anissa's giving her take. She says, I'm guessing we're getting 7 to 10 for the south side. Okay. Now, keep in mind, Anissa Bowden, you are privy, if you've been watching me on this stream, you are privy that the Weather Service has gone from 9.9, 9 o'clock yesterday morning. Then they lowered it to 8.7, and then they lowered it to 7. Why is that important? That's important to forecasters who don't forecast. See, I'm not basing my numbers, I'm not fudging my numbers because they're dropping. I think it's got room to drop even more to the point where like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. And I'm going to point you right back to where we started. That at some point, precipitation has to end. Somebody will say, oh, I got 6 inches of snow and I'm in North Carolina. And somebody in Pocono says, I got nothing. It's like that Charlie Brown movie when he's trick-or-treating. I got chocolate, I got a rock. Some people are going to feel like they got the rock, they got nothing. Nothing in the sack of the candy, right? So the saltwater taffy is going to be stretched out and peeled out, and Charlie Brown's going to have a rock in his trick-or-treat bag. That's what I think. Okay, here's the answer. The answer is amount. Some of you said B. I got a B here from Pierre Ferguson. Congratulations, Pierre, you got that right. But it's interesting, and in the spirit of transparency, and this is because I have a lot of respect for them. I got a call today around 2 o'clock from the National Weather Service. They were doing a service to me and to our weather team to say, hey, we're not going to issue a blizzard warning tonight. I said, okay. He said, we're going to go a high wind warning. I said, okay. He said, because we're not as confident on the amounts stacking up. So when I hear that, That's confirmation of what I said yesterday. I didn't think it was a 9.9er or an 8.7 inch snow. I said 2 to 4. I'm sticking to it. I've had a lot of pressure. Are we upping the totals? No, we're leaving them alone. That's how I felt, and I still feel that way. So even though we don't have the European model coming to fruition, it does give you some guidance that you have a lesser amount. Forget the number, because I know you'll look at this raw data and say, well, that's what we're getting. No, it's not. It's what the model is spitting out at this very hour. And it'll change again tonight. And it'll change again tomorrow. So you've got some heavier totals down here. And you got that, well, not that far from 2 to 4 where I am. But I think there's a little tongue of where the pivot point, where the inflection point comes, that we're going to continue to see the possibility of heavier snows in southern Chesapeake, maybe southern Suffolk, and certainly back toward Back Bay. Headlines, we're just talking about snow showers developing late Saturday morning, windy weekend, windy Saturday and higher on Sunday. Snow tapers early Sunday, blowing and drifting with tidal flooding. Let me come back on camera because there's something I want to pick up here, and hopefully I will get to the end. But the precipitation chances run up to 80% on Saturday. I think it's early on Sunday. You may actually get some sunshine on the second half of your Sunday. But if you're looking and keeping track that we've now had 68 straight consecutive hours below freezing, then we're not going to get above freezing on Saturday or Sunday. You have to wait till Monday afternoon to get to 34. But this is the warm day, and that's still 10 degrees below average. Welcome to winter, my friend. This cold air, you might be thinking, it's for the birds. And it can be for the birds. It can also be for the ducks and all kinds of birds. Upper air pattern, I said if this thing came off the coast of Savannah, we'd have a better chance of this going south. And look at the European model. It brings it all the way down this way. This is where we are. It's not Myrtle Beach. It's more Savannah. And that was what I was figuring in my calculus. That's what I was figuring in my my calculations. So you look at this storm system. This is an upper air pattern. It quickly gets ejected, and it's off to the races. It goes to the north and east and has impacts in New England. But eventually we warm up by Tuesday the 3rd, and somebody was asking me last night about the polar plunge. I think by the time you get to the 7th of February, I believe we're going to see things start to go back down in a hurry. Yeah, there's the 7th. Boo! Oh, that'll be nice. That'll be so nice. That means when you actually get into the water on polar plunge, you might be actually warmer than the actual air. Air is going to be colder than the water. Just be prepared that you're taking, it's for a good cause. It is for the Special Olympics. So, all right, so we're looking at the upper air pattern there and the fact that this is going to ebb and flow. I've showed you this before. All that cold air in purple and blue will come down and rotate from time to time, and that's what's kept a lot of us on the East Coast a little bit colder than, way colder than normal. We are running right now, I believe, 1.3. Yes, that is correct. We're now negative 1.3 degrees below average for the month. A couple more days if you factor in today, tomorrow, then the month will be over. Probably finished about 2 or 3 degrees below normal. Last month we were 4.5 degrees below normal. 27, record high 80, 2002. This was the coldest day of the year so far. Coldest day at 27. And what's amazing is 3 weeks ago, 1, 2, 3, we had a record high. And 3 weeks from the record high when we hit 75, that'll be tomorrow. We got a blizzard in North Carolina. Just, it's like I used to hear a lot when I was in Rochester. I heard this comment. I had never heard it before in my life. I grew up, born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware. But when I went to Rochester, I would commonly get a phone call in the weather center. Yes, back in those days, everybody would call the weather center. Who does that now? Nobody. But they would call and they'd say, hey, I heard it's going to be warm on Saturday. And I'd say, yes. And they'd say, oh, I was afraid of that. And I said, why? It's going to be warm on Saturday. And this person on the phone would say, well, you know what that means? It means we're going to pay for it later. And it's a very Eeyore, Winnie the Pooh mentality, right? Well, you got a nice day, so that means we're going to pay for it later. When you live by Lake Ontario and you get 435 inches of snow in 4 years, that's kind of how you start to see life, right? You see weather as we're probably going to have to pay for it. Because as soon as the front leaves, then the lake effect machine goes on. And so it goes on and on and on. Now I'm going on way too late here. It's 8:14. Really a big encouragement to download the free First Warning Weather app. News app, NOAA Weather Radio is also something I urge you to get to. Battery operated in case you lose power, in case your phone loses charge. Having multiple just makes sense to protect you and your family and your neighborhood. Satellite radar shows the storm that we're looking at. The big picture shows, looks like we've got the Pacific Northwest. They're dealing with a storm system around Seattle, a few flakes and drops in Montana. But we're seeing this dive down to Oklahoma City. We got a large high that's on its way down there, snowing in Oklahoma tonight. And now we're beginning to see, as some of the models are now suggesting, we're getting some snow in Tennessee. So if you're in Tennessee, I salute you. Don't be surprised if you get more snow than we get in Virginia Beach. Get more snow than Norfolk. And I expect they're going to get more snow in Charlotte, in Asheville, in Columbia, and even in the suburbs of Atlanta. This will all get heavy, perhaps, before tomorrow morning into Sunday. And we're going to get some big snows here. But the question is, how far north does it get up here? That's the question. That's the question. And at some point, precipitation has to end. All right, we're going to keep on moving. I'm going to show you today through the 9th, which is a Monday. There's a storm. As depicted by the European model. It shows it right over South Carolina, North Carolina. That's tomorrow. Then it really starts to wind up, moves away, gets some breaks, maybe a little quick little drop flake on Wednesday. That's what that would represent. No big deal. Then it goes up back, more snow around Chicago and Detroit. And then eventually that comes back down as a few flakes, maybe a few drops. Not a big deal. So we'll keep an eye on that. Temperature right now, 26 as it's now 8:15. 25 in Hampton, 23 in Newport News. I got some time for comments. If you have something you'd like to share, I got Nicole on here. Nicole is, now see, I love this. She says, Elizabeth City is definitely going to feel it this weekend. And she said, I can't wait. I'm excited. You've got me feeling this energy, Nicole. I can't wait for you. I was just in Edenton with my wife last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago. And so we had a great time. But Elizabeth City, Edenton, I love North Carolina. I'm a Chapel Hill and NC State grad. You couldn't get more loyalty than you have with me. I just can't root for Duke. Sorry. It's just. But in Elizabeth City, I can root for you. And if you like snow, just be safe. Understand the winds are going to probably be a little more harsh for the kids. And if you have kids or grandkids or cousins or whoever you have out there, just make sure that they're dressed appropriately because it will be pretty harsh. 14 in Beckley, 7 in Pittsburgh, 24 in Virginia Beach. These are current readings, my friend. When it's 4 in Hastings, Nebraska, you know it's got to be cold. Like that must be. Is that oozing down? It sure is. It's like you're following this curve. And so the storm, when it comes down, it comes off the coast of Savannah, and then you have this another low that's positioned now from Cuba to the Bahamas, and they do some kind of swirly swirl. It may very well pull and drag some of the moisture away. And if it does, you heard it here first. How cold is it up there? It's not that cold now in Lynn Lake Airport. They're plus 10. Are you kidding me? It's warmer in Lake Lynn than it is Minneapolis. I know, that's weird. It's actually warmer in Lake Lynn than it is in Detroit. That's how weather works. It's all interconnected. It's all being pushed down from the Arctic blast. Sub-zero dew points. It's Chapstick City and lotion on the knuckles. Anytime you got single-digit dew points, we've got plenty of that. But you can follow along. The blue areas are the cold highway that's coming down to Florida at times, comes into Wisconsin, goes all the way down toward Arkansas at times, and this will carry you right through the 7th. That's why it's going to be super cold for the polar plunge. And we've got really cold air. Again, I always have to say this because some people say, if it's cold, that means it's a snowstorm. No. Cold air is dry. So you have to have a pairing or a marriage, a merger, if it were a business deal, a merger of the moisture and the cold air to get a good snow. And in this case, it's all about the track. And the track may be unfavorable for Hampton and much more favorable for Elizabeth City. Temperature outlook 5th through the 9th, very, very cold. That's the 6 to 10 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. Also stays above normal out west from Nevada to Salt Lake City, back toward Phoenix, above normal by their standards, and below normal for our standards, all across the Mid-Atlantic through just right before the 13th of February, which is exactly what I said like a week or so ago. So get ready, it's going to get cold again in time for Valentine's Day, because you'd have a whole new reason to hug your honey, to cuddle your cutie, and to snuggle your sweetie. You've got chances to do that between now and the 14th of February. All right, temperature tomorrow shows snow flakes in Onancock, blocks of mid-20s there, Chincoteague 25, Exmoor 24, Cape Charles 25, and low 30s for Kill Devil Hills and Manio. Nags Head about 34 degrees, Duck 32. And we'll be getting some snow and rain. You notice how they do that. See how that changed the icon there? Little drops in flakage, because you might see a bit of a changeover. They're going to pop up to about 40, but eventually they'll go back to snow as I see it on the Outer Banks. Again, we showed you this picture. I think it's worth showing again. Not everybody's going to get the same amount. You can just see, your instincts tell you that they're going to get more snow in parts of Georgia, South Carolina, Western North Carolina, Bristol, Knoxville, Smoky Mountains, Gatlinburg, Fort Mitchell, Mount LeConte, all those places are going to have more snow than what we get here. And so people will be befuddled. Why? Why? That's invariably the question that will happen. How could they get it so wrong? Like, it's about location, my friend. Ask any real estate agent. It's about location, location, location. And these tracks change. But once it does snow, it might not last forever, at least maybe as long as you had hoped, but the winds will steal the show, and the tidal flooding might actually be the cherry on top. All right, so very strong winds, full moon, power outages, we've covered that. Snowfall forecast, we've already showed that, but this is where I expect to be. And again, this is where I expect to be. That's with today's data. Could this go down to 1 to 3? Maybe. Could this just go to flurries? Could be. But I still think the sweet spot is in this area. So confidence is high here and much lower here. So if you're north of Norfolk, like up toward Melfa, Cape Charles, or Exmoor, you could get snow showers, but in the end, you might say, I got a few snow showers, but I don't have anything to show for it, right? That's the difference between I saw some snow and I got some snow. See, North Carolina is going to get some snow. Clearly on this map, they're going to get it. Oh, you're going to get it. But you might just see some snow up here. It's not going to be what you remember. I hope that helps. Maybe, and if you have a plan, you can handle anything, right? Especially if you've got your neighbors and the support of your neighbors. 18 in the peninsulas, 21 south side, 23 North Carolina. Tonight's low 17 Franklin, 23 Elizabeth City, looking for a low in Gloucester at 16, 19 Cape Charles, and 21 for Chesapeake, Moyock, Norfolk, and 19 for Smithfield. Saturday afternoon, it might look like this in many, many neighborhoods. Many, but you notice I was very deliberate when I put only 2 flakes here, 3 flakes there, and all the flakes there. It's an intensity forecast for you. Is that like, you like how I'm a super creative guy. High Saturday, 24 Suffolk, 27 Elizabeth City, about 32 for Duck, and 27 for Edenton, Cape Charles about 25, Chesapeake 25, 23 in Cortland. Here's your first warning, WTKR, News 3 7-day forecast. So we do get above freezing, but you're going to have to wait till Monday afternoon. Warmest day of the week, Tuesday. If you want to hibernate till Tuesday, that's fine too. I won't fault you for that. We will get a little clipper system that brings in probably drops and flakes. That's temperature dependent. Do I expect that to be a big deal? No, but it doesn't take much for somebody to hype up nonsense 3 or 4 days in advance. Spotty shower may linger on Thursday, but otherwise I think it's sunshine and then partly cloudy Friday. Might get some flakes by the following Saturday, which is the 7th, in time for the polar plunge. Wouldn't that be fun to see a reinforcement of that cold by February the 7th? By the way, did I mention to you we've got clouds increasing tonight? But I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. I mentioned the forecast. We're in the 20s. We'll be lucky to get out of the 20s. But just know it's going to feel so much colder simply because of the winds. It will be pretty nasty. So we want to make sure we take care of each other. I mentioned the snow forecast. Again, this is subject to change even tonight because right now, if I had to make some changes, if somebody said, okay, you got to make a change, I'm either going to leave it alone or I'm going to lower it. And I was like, what? I was hoping you would up it. No, isolate 12. That's about it. I think this is a good forecast. In fact, I think it's a great forecast. Now, if you get nothing and you're in Williamsburg, you'll say, you told me I was going to get 2 inches. No, I said you're going to get a trace of 2 inches. Trace is just a glorified word of saying flurries. But some people will reinterpret it how they want. I know there are people in this town that have called for 6 to 10 or 4 to 8 everywhere. I'm like, okay, I just don't want to write a check I can't cash. I don't want to predict something I can't deliver, and right now I think the pressure is pushing it further south into North Carolina. It's a stretching of the saltwater taffy illustration. That's all it is. And I'm going to end this live stream the same exact way I started it. The important rule to remember in winter, especially winter, but springtime it works too, is at some point precipitation has to end. And it may very well end in your neighborhood, yours, in the 757. It might just stop at the doorstep. You might get some snow showers, but then like a couple hours later, it's like, that's it? That's it. Okay? It's just how the hand was dealt. And I'm just the messenger. If I had more confidence, I would be displaying it. I'd be jumping up and down saying, batten down the hatches. I'm not that way. I think North Carolina should respect what's coming their way, but they're a hardy bunch too. They're a hurricane-proven area. You can handle some snow because snow will melt eventually. So give it some time, take care of each other, and that's my best recommendation. All right, I've gone on long enough on my special Friday edition. But just remember, it doesn't matter if the weather is sunny or serious or if it's a snowstorm. Just remember, every day that we're given is a gift. Make the most of it, and make it the most of it in your neighborhood. We'll see you here tomorrow night, because we'll do this again for more fun. Take care.